I'm here for another episode of Cold Email Breakdown, and today I'm joined by Nadav, and we're just going to talk about cold email in general. We're going to cover a few topics that a lot of beginners struggle with. We're going to share our knowledge, and we'll just see how the conversation goes. So thanks for joining me, Nadav. I look forward to this conversation. So Nadav, this is our first episode together. I think since it's our first episode, it's probably helpful just to tell everyone a little bit about yourself. Maybe just give us a quick intro to your background in cold email and business in general.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Nadav Boaz. I'm you could say a generalist. I touched pretty much any possible industry, if it's real estate, crypto, online trading, email marketing, SaaS, AI, nutrition, dating. Really, I had a company in almost any industry, but my cold email marketing agency was probably the largest one so far, still is. And that's a large portion of what I'm doing. I was one of the first that entered this industry. We started doing that around 2020. Already back then, we tried implementing AI with GPT-2. We can talk about that later. It was a complete mess. But even back then, we already had a foresight that this is going to be a thing. But yeah, that's me. Today I run a cold email marketing agency and a SaaS product that's more in the B2C world, and that's mainly what I do.
Since we're talking about what you're doing, let's name drop. Let's let everyone know what those are. So what's the name of your product? We'll obviously link to them in the bottom of the description.
Yeah, so Primatica, that's the cold email marketing agency. We do full service, and we also do setup. So clients come to us, we do the cold email marketing setup for them, and then they can take it for themselves. We don't even charge for that. And I have VoiceDrop. VoiceDrop is a ringless voicemail software that I built. What it does, it basically leaves people messages in their voicemail without ringing, and it's using AI to customize every single message. That's more in the B2C space. So these are the two companies I manage.
Have you seen success using those ringless voicemails in B2B, or is it primarily just B2C strategy?
So it's all about the data eventually. It's like the cold email marketing is usually B2B because it's easier to get people's emails, people's business emails. But with phone numbers, it's actually much easier to get personal phone numbers. And most of the telemarketing companies that are using telemarketing, like financial companies, insurances, real estate companies, they're mainly targeting clients. So it can work with businesses. I do have a few clients that are doing that, but the phone numbers are usually personal.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I reckon that's probably one of the biggest mistakes people make just in general when they're doing any kind of marketing or acquisition. They underestimate the data part. They're looking, a lot of beginners, they're just looking for some easy cookie cutter kind of approach. But sometimes if you're trying to get the best data for whatever you're doing, you got to be a little bit more savvy. So you have to really think about it.
Yeah, that's the first step. Before you launch any new campaign, you need to make sure you have the data, because without data, you don't have anything. You can have the best template in the world, but if you don't know who to deliver it to, what's the point?
Yeah, and even the template to a certain degree can be affected by the data, because depending on how you got the data and what those particular leads are doing or what they've done, that can even affect what you even say. So I don't know, I think that's really underappreciated in the general business world. So I have a few topics here that we can talk about. I mean, there's no real structure to this conversation, but is there anything you want to cover first, or should we just get into some of these things?
Let's just get into it.
All right. So I got one topic here which I found online. Basically, people were talking about doing cold email to UK, or Europe, but just in general, sort of this idea that, okay, we want to do cold email in this particular jurisdiction. This person's asking, is it even allowed? What should they be concerned about? I mean, my opinion is that I think a lot of the people asking those kinds of questions often are basically people who are beginners and they're sort of worrying about the wrong thing. They're sort of worrying about some kind of regulation, some jurisdiction before even getting a single response. But my opinion is, how about you just focus on getting a few positive replies, and then if it's working, maybe focus on things that actually go down that road. But do you have any thoughts there?
I agree. It's the mindset of beginning entrepreneurs of trying to have everything, the road clear before starting the ride. And I would definitely say start the ride. Start, move fast, break stuff, and if something is catching, then handle the regulation. Like if you have an idea for a product, start by charging money. If someone is willing to pay, build a product. If you cannot deliver, refund the money. But start by moving. And about Europe in general, they have the GDPR rules, but it's important to remember they're usually affecting clients. I'm not familiar with any law that's forbidding one business to promote something to another business, and that's what you're usually doing with cold emails. You're reaching to a business under another business. You're not reaching to a Gmail. You're reaching to an actual domain. So I'm not a lawyer. That's only based on my knowledge. There are no laws against a company reaching to another company.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of misinformation in the whole cold email space. Every year there's some new misinformation, but even the Google update that was about 6 to 12 months ago, that was Google made it clear that was affecting personal Gmail accounts. That was not affecting B2B emails, and yet the entire industry sort of wouldn't stop talking about it for months. And it's just, there's a huge difference between sending emails to personal email accounts compared to legitimate outbound B2B campaigns where you're targeting specific businesses. I mean, I just think people need to kind of realize that there's quite a big difference there.
I've been getting these questions at least once a year. Someone asking me, hey, Gmail is going to launch this huge update. Google is going to launch this huge update on February. What are you going to do? Are you going to continue with the cold emails? I'm like, yeah. It never affected. I never felt the effect of any of these updates, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the update, whether it's cold email or even SEO, search engine optimization, these updates from Google or whatever the provider is, they're not the kinds of things that actually affect you if you're doing it correctly. I had people saying that SEO was dead in 2014. Literally 2014, I was hearing people saying that. And obviously that's not true. I mean, the list of businesses that generate the majority of their inbound traffic through SEO is just endless. Email chaser being one of them. I mean, that's our number one customer acquisition strategy. It's the same with cold email. It's not dead. It's dead if you're doing things that are probably not a good idea.
Yeah, the only thing that happens with time is that the standard goes up. So there are more entry barriers. It's a bit tougher to stay relevant because the knowledge always becomes more accessible. More people are doing that, so you need to stand out and be better. But it's not hard because most people are bad. Most people are just it looks like they're not even trying, and you see the kind of content they're writing, the kind of methods they're using, and it's really easy to just to be above that. You just need to try to want to be above the standard.
Yeah, I mean, I think people just underestimate what a high level performance is, whether that's in business or anything, but they sort of think that they're going to come into any industry, maybe that's cold email, and within 30 minutes of reading an article, they're going to somehow launch a campaign which transforms their company's revenue. I mean, that's just not how anything works in life. I mean, you need to get to a high level. That's what you have to do anyway.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in consultants, for example. Why should I trying to reinvent the wheel when there is someone that's already there, and I could pay, maybe it will be expensive, but it will definitely be cheaper than, trying and failing 100 times and trying to reach the same amount of knowledge.
It's cheap from an opportunity cost perspective. You spend all the money up front, but then you save yourself so much time and from the mistakes. It's worth it.
Yeah, when with Primatica, at some point during 2020, we were so big that we were sending over 10 million cold emails a month for all of our clients combined. And then both Google and Amazon blocked us. Amazon because we were using their servers, Google because they identified all of our accounts, and we were not working like on the, let's say, not the right way, at least not with today's standards. And I just decided to put a post somewhere, and I ended up paying some guy $5,000 for half an hour of his time. He just gave us like 5 really good tips that changed the whole way of how we worked. And within 2 weeks, we were back on track, and we are actually using almost the same methods today. So,
are we able to share this $5,000 tip or tips?
Yeah, definitely. So tip number 1, work with a reseller. Don't work directly with Google. When you're purchasing Google email accounts, don't purchase them from Google. Purchase from a reseller. You want to have a very decentralized network, decentralized infrastructure. Now, there are many resellers, some more expensive, some less expensive. It also depends on the pool of the reseller. But basically what happens is that Google, they have statistics about the pool of the reseller, and they don't see as much data as they can see when you purchase it directly from them. So if your reseller has a very good and healthy pool of emails, you'll have very good deliverability.
Would you say that the one exception to that is if someone's trying to do, like, for example, very low volume, and they don't need like 100 email accounts? Do you think it matters if it's through a reseller or through Google?
Definitely always go with a reseller. Any reseller will always have better results than Google. Okay, not any reseller, as long as considering the reseller got a health pool. These days, even us in Pragmatica, we became Google resellers, and that's part of the service that we're offering, but go with whoever you want. And that's really changed. Like, ever since Google never identified our accounts or managed to block all of them combined like they did back then in 2020. Because for that, they will need to block the whole reseller. Like, the police part goes to the reseller. If there is an issue, they tell the reseller, hey, we see a lot of spam reportings from your pool, fix it or we're gonna close you. Mm-hmm. So we would get a warning from the reseller instead of from Google. Second tip, same thing with the domains. Don't buy the domains from Google. Buy them from a third party. We work with Namecheap because they have the best, they update their DNS records pretty much immediately. And they have very good prices. So yeah, that's how we work. Then actually the other tips, all right, there is of course the DNS records, DMARC, everything else, warming up. Things are, maybe it's obvious to me, it's not obvious to everyone. I'll say it briefly. Make sure to always warm up your account, your email accounts. Don't send immediately, no matter how urgent it is. Make sure always to put them in some warming up platform and ramp it up for at least 10 business days. That's the minimum we recommend. That's the minimum we saw working well. Then when you start sending, don't start sending a lot of emails. We like sending 10 emails a day per account in the first week, then 20 a day on the second week, up to 50 a day. And we only create 2 email accounts per domain. That's also was one of his tips. I know that there are a lot of recommendations in the industry to do 3 email accounts per domain. You can do that. We like to do 2 accounts per domain. It's generally safer and more stable, and it's not such a huge investment. It's just it's 30% more domains. That's all, because the amount you pay for the email accounts is the same.
Thanks for sharing that. So you saved everyone $5,000. So appreciate that. I feel everyone also appreciates that. One thing I'll mention real quick is I'm working with someone right now, and he's going to be sort of conducting a lot of different tests. So test just different things in the cold email industry. So things like warm up, resellers, SMTP, inbox providers, like all kinds of stuff he's going to be testing. So he'll be running a lot of experiments, and we're going to be releasing those to our YouTube channel. I think that would be interesting for anyone really who's interested in cold email to see the results. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on specific things, and like whether those things work or not. I mean, those are valid questions. But I think just testing is really important because a lot of people they sort of want this sort of magical answer from the very beginning, but sometimes you just have to try things, and then you'll obviously find the best way for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Trial and error at the end of the day. That's how you learn. If you can bring someone to share his errors and learn from them, it's better. But we are usually not that intelligent, and we usually need to make the mistakes ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. So another topic I have here is basically someone's sort of asking, I want to hire a cold email expert, and they're not really sure what to look for. How do you even know if the person knows what they're talking about? So do you have any thoughts on that?
That's a good question. That's also a question about hiring in general. How do I know if the developer I'm hiring is good? How do I know if the sales guy I'm hiring is good? And really, for every position, I usually like to create its own test or to understand exactly what the metrics I'm looking for. If you're looking for a cold email marketing professional, I will just ask him to share with me his statistics. Show me campaigns you're working, censor the name of the client and everything. Show me something recent, not something from 2 years ago and the only one that ever succeeded for you. I want to see at least 5 different ones that got good open rate, good response rate, and good positive response rate. That's, at the end of the day, the most important metric. Because if I have 95% open rate, but one positive response out of 20,000 emails, that's not good. At the end of the day, you want someone that's able to generate results, and that's what you should be looking for. That's the important metric. And if the person cannot share that, you should consider hiring someone else or working with him on some kind of a model that makes sure he got incentive to give you success.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it also, you can also just learn a little bit yourself. I think like a lot of people just sort of want to outsource everything without doing any work at all. I think outsourcing's fine, but it always helps. The more you know about a topic, the better you're gonna be able to hire for that particular topic. So it is worth putting some time into learning these things, in my opinion.
It's healthy to know what you're talking about, to know what you're messing with, how these things are working. Otherwise, you're completely clueless, and that's how you get positive reporting about bad results, and you don't know to acknowledge.
Yeah, I think it also kind of ties to the idea that like 99% of people just have no idea what true volume looks like in terms of anything. I mean, if they're trying to, for example, hire a cold email agency, they'll talk to 2 people. No, you need to talk to 30 people. Whereas they're going to hire a VP of whatever. No, don't talk to 2 or 3 people. You need to be talking to 40 people. I mean, they just don't understand the sort of volume you have to do to actually get to the point where it's going to be obvious who and who's not. So I would just say just increase the output of whatever you're doing, and things will become clear much faster.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that. Whenever you're looking for anything, work in masses and volumes. People like to, I met this one guy and he looks interesting. So if it won't work well with him, I'll search for another one. And no, you want to have a pool of 20, 50 people that wants to work with you. And then you can also filter in bulk. You can send them all a form. You can send them all, all of you, send me a long video going over your results. You don't want to? All right, disqualified. I'm not even going to talk with you. The 20 people that did send me, now I can review them and see, compared to each other, who is the best. And then interview only 5. But 5 of the best that passed these filtering steps.
Yeah, exactly. Just to be clear for anyone watching, when I say more volume, in the context of cold email, I'm not saying that you should just scale your sending volume if you're not already generating results. What I'm saying is testing more. So you're interviewing people, you're testing more by increasing the number of people that you interview. If you're launching cold email campaigns, you're increasing the volume in terms of the number of campaigns you're launching and the different angles you're testing and all the different data sources. And then once you find something, obviously, go crazy. But that's, yeah. I see a lot of people wanting to scale their volume of cold email sending before they have any results. And that, in my opinion, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, because you're just burning ammunition on while just aiming on the wrong target usually, or just using the wrong ammunition, so you won't penetrate. And yeah, the way to succeed with cold emails, you need to make it work in small scale, and only then to scale it. And when you're in small scale, it's healthy to try small scale to multiple different combinations of offer and target audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's key what you just said there. You're sort of split testing offer and target audience, which are two, those are very, there can be a lot of variation in those things. But I see so many people, when they think about split testing cold email, they want to, split test the subject line as if that's some like major thing. It's like, that's not really that big of a deal. I mean, it's more about fundamental things like what are you actually offering and who are you targeting. Those are much more impactful.
Yeah, exactly. You must have the right people, and to offer the right people the right proposal. Someone that's working in the tech industry will not respond to the same incentives of someone that works in the financial industry. And the CEO will not respond to the same thing that the managing marketing director will respond to. Different offers to different people, and that's definitely something you need to investigate. And if you want to already work in high volume, do a lot of small volumes to a lot of variations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, my favorite type of campaigns, cold email campaigns, are where it's just an evergreen campaign. So you sort of you start testing on a small level, but you find something that's working really well, and you sort of have a way of generating new leads on an ongoing basis for that particular thing that's already proven. And then you just scale that, and then you just sort of have this never-ending flow of new leads coming in. So I've had a lot of success on those kinds of campaigns. I mean, you can obviously launch regular campaigns as well, where you just sort of make a list and then you send them the emails, which is fine. But I'm a big fan of evergreen campaigns.
Yeah, same here. And when you reach this evergreen campaign, it can run for as long as you have the data. We had a client working with us for 1 year and 7 months, paying us, every month. We were generating results, and we pretty much sent anyone within his target audience range at least 3 times. Like, we recycled the whole list 3 times until we just ran out, and that's it. That's when we stopped, because we just didn't have anyone else to send to. But we'll probably continue working with them in a few months, where we'll be able to start sending again. And that's the beauty when you reach the right combination of offer and target audience.
Yeah, sort of on a sort of related note, I was thinking recently that a lot of people are always talking about what's the best email account provider to use for deliverability, or all these kind of related questions. And in my opinion, it makes sense just to try everything. And I mean, potentially if you have a lead list, you have your lead list and you want to reach out to them, and you want to recycle them over time. Maybe you can have multiple different email account providers. You use all of those at different points in time. So you sort of hit, if some go to spam, okay, obviously your recipient's not going to see those emails. But if you're hitting them from different providers, then with, over time, potentially something will work basically. But do you have any thoughts there in terms of just testing different things?
When you're talking about different providers, we're talking about different platforms.
So for example, like Google Workspace email accounts, Microsoft 365 accounts, SMTP inbox providers. Just there's a lot of debate and conversation about which ones you use and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, potentially, I'm just sort of thinking potentially just using all of them might be a good idea, because even if one doesn't work, if you're using other ones, eventually your message will get through. I mean, I'm not suggesting you just sort of blast everyone and spam people. That's not what I'm saying. But I think just testing in general should be sort of done more on a larger scale.
So when it comes to providers, I honestly saw the best results with Google, no matter what. Yeah, Microsoft could be cheaper, and there are other cheaper alternatives. Usually, it's about the price, but to get the best results, you should go with Google. And if you cannot get good results with Google, you're just doing something wrong. That's my opinion.
If you set up a Google account, would you recommend just waiting for a couple weeks before? I mean, so if you have a brand new Google account and some people want to start contacting leads immediately, would you recommend waiting a couple weeks? And I'm not even talking about warm up. I just thought in general, just kind of waiting so they have a certain amount of age.
No, it's really not needed. You can start warming up right away, and after 2 weeks of warming up, you can start delivering again with low volume, and you must see that you have good results, good open rates before you ramp up the deliveries.
What would you say is the minimum response rate, a positive response rate that you'd want to see in a campaign before you decide to scale or not?
The minimum, I would say, will be 0.5%. So 1 out of 200 people to respond to anything, not interested is fine as long as he replies. And then there is a positive response rate, which usually I try to aspire to at least 0.1%. So 1 out of 1,000 will be the minimum. And of course, it varies a lot based on industry, the quality of the prospect, the type of proposal. And, there are a million variables here. But yeah, about 1 to 1,000 should reply positively, minimum.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think something to consider is just there's so many ways to approach cold email. Like, everyone wants to say, there's only one way to do it, but even if you're getting 1% response rate, if you have high enough volume, that's still pretty good. Or you can do more targeted campaigns and get a much higher response rate. I guess it just depends what strategy you're taking, and there's not necessarily one right answer, but different things.
Yeah, we have campaigns with extremely targeted prospect list and very, very strong proposal. We would reach 5 and even 7% positive response rate. It's pretty rare, but you could reach these rates.
Yeah.
Again, at the end of the day, it's how mature is your proposal. If it's something new, usually you'll have bad stats because you haven't figured it out yet.
All right. Well, we've been talking for a while now, so I think we can wrap this up. I mean, we're gonna do more conversations in the future, so there's a lot more to discuss. But
yeah,
is there anything else you want to cover before we finish this episode?
I would say don't try to reinvent the wheel. We talked about that. Remember that, I'm just escalating it. Guys, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Learn from someone that's already doing that. Find some agency. Tell them, hey, I want to pay you $200. Just make sure everything I did is built right. Give me tips. Really, this half an hour to an hour from a very strong professional could save you so much time, energy, and money. Definitely worth it. And there is tons of information online, and read it before. Don't come to these calls, clueless. But make sure to, it's very healthy to consult with someone that knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and if you want some free consultation, then tune in to the cold email breakdown episodes every week. That's gonna be helpful.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate your time. I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Thank you, George.